It's time for Twig This Week in Google, our first episode of the new year, and there is, as always, lots of Google news to talk about, including Google spanking itself. How did they do that? We'll find out next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT. Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 128, recorded January 4th, 2012. I'm no prude. This Week in Google is brought to you by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV instantly, all streamed directly to you, saving you time, money, and hassle. For your free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google and the cloud and Facebook and Twitter and everything else that we decide we want to talk about. Why? Because this is the show with the highest IQ on the network, so it should be able to do whatever it wants. That's what I'm saying. Part of the reason the IQ is so high is we've got the two smartest people anywhere, starting with Gina Trapani, who's back.
So glad to be back.
She's so smart, her site is called smarterware.org.
Happy New Year, Twig.
Happy
I'm
New
so
Year.
happy to be back. It's been 2 weeks of not seeing Leo. That's too long for me. So I'm really happy to be back.
I know, I missed you
Jeff.
too. Jeff and I did our best. Jeff Jarvis is also here. He's actually at Arizona State University today. Are you giving a speech?
Yeah, there's a symposium here about entrepreneurial journalism, so I'm doing that.
Cool.
I'm doing a book signing tonight if anyone's around 5:30 ASU, Cronkite School of Journalism.
At the bookstore there or where?
No, it's in the School of Journalism.
Right in the school there.
Open to the public, yeah.
Cool. Go see Jeff if you're in, is it Phoenix?
Phoenix.
Cool. I'd be there if I could. Jeff is also a professor of journalism at the City University of New York. And he blogs at buzzmachine.com, and his latest book is called Public Parts, about the virtues of living in public. So Gina missed last week where we solved all of Google's problems. It turns out we didn't. Gina, so I could just see Gina like yelling at the...
I had gotten back to San Diego and was unpacking and listening to the year-end episode, and there was one other time I had missed a show and then listened to it after, and I had the experience of being a listener. And yeah, I was talking loud, I was yelling, I was like, they're being too easy on them, which is often what we get accused of by listeners.
Now you know why.
I had an experience like, well, what about? I mean, hey, and so I was probably the hardest on Google I think I've ever been. I wrote my very demanding hardline to-do list for them in 2012 on my blog.
I wish you'd been here last week because I would have loved. It's a very good list, and I can't disagree with any bit of it. So
I mean, a lot of things are just obvious, right? I mean, obviously, Google has to release a really great tablet this year, right?
I think though that now I have to. Okay, this is what I would have said if you'd said that last week.
Okay.
I understand why you say that, but I think it's a shame that Google, in order to teach its partners how to do something right, has to release a phone or a tablet to lead the way. Microsoft does not do that. Microsoft never has had to make a reference Windows computer or a reference Windows phone.
Right.
Why does Google have to do that? What's the problem?
I just think it's a different thing. I think that these are relatively new devices that have it's a new kind of form factor. It's the most personal of personal computers that have ever been made. And I think that Jobs was onto something when he said, the whole widget, get the hardware and the software people to work together.
Google's not a hardware company. In fact, I don't even have any faith that Google could do a better job than, let's say, HTC or Samsung or Motorola. Could they?
Well, now that they have Motorola, I think that they could. I think that maybe they could. So Chrome, there's that search appliance. I mean, they've done some hardware.
Always with partners. Always with partners.
With partners. But now that they have Motorola, they actually are a hardware company. If you think of it that way, as much as they've kind of kept Motorola separate. Listen, this tablet has to be perfect. I got the Samsung Galaxy Tab, the 10.1 at Google I/O this past year, and an over-the-air update came down and it bricked it. The thing was bricked, like for weeks and weeks. And then I had to connect it to the computer, and I was typing all these obscure commands and downloading these weird. I basically had to root it in order to bring it back to life, which is insane. That's insane. That should not happen. This tablet has to be absolutely stutter-free, perfect, flawless ice cream sandwich, amazing, incredible. And also they have to partner with other software developers. They have to get the New York Times app. They have to get a good Twitter client. That, you know, this tablet has to be the tablet that you want if you're a Google
That's
lover.
exactly why Android tablets are not making it. Google is not Apple. And they never will be.
That's true.
I think, Gina, you're right. You're right that Google needs a great tablet, but I think Leo's right that Google's probably not the one to build the great tablet on Android.
I don't think they have the skills. Although I love this line, don't use chase scenes and explosions or even robots in the advertising. I think you're absolutely right. Motorola just really, the whole droid thing, I don't understand who they're aiming at.
No, it's terrible.
A phone that scares you. Oh, good.
They have to make it the Google tablet because this is the thing. This is the reason why you want a Google an Android tablet over an iPad. If you are deeply embedded in the Googleverse, like the Google product verse, that means that you use Gmail, Docs, Calendar, and Maps a lot, and those are kind of the most mainstream apps. Then like the Android is what you want because those core apps, they're superior on Android than they are on iPad.
I agree.
Without a doubt, right?
Yep.
So if they can make this incredible tablet with ice cream sandwich apps and all those core apps on Android are ice cream sandwiched, and what that means is that they will unfold onto a tablet screen very well with fragments and different panels, you know, really true tablet apps, because that's what ice cream sandwich kind of does. It lets you kind of fold in menus and fold in fragments to display on many different sizes of screens. So they have those core apps done. If you are deeply embedded in the Googleverse, they need to make this incredible killer tablet, and then they have to market it just like that. If you love Google, this is the tablet that you want. And, you know, honestly, because they're playing catch-up at this point, they have to price it significantly lower than the iPad. It has to be a very simple choice, you know, not like 10 different levels of tablets, maybe 2. You know,
isn't it ironic that the best-selling Android tablet out right now has no Google apps on it at all? I'm talking about the Kindle Fire. Nothing. There's no Google association at all.
No, it isn't, and it's not even honeycomb, right? It's gingerbread. So
we don't know. They think
Doesn't
it's
matter.
gingerbread. We don't know. It doesn't matter because it's not anything.
Right, it's not anything. It's not Android. So this is the thing. They have to nail this year. And I mean, you all are going to CES next week, right?
Yep.
So hopefully we're going to see this. I want them to hire, and actually this segues into a later story in a rundown. I was going to say when I wrote this post that they should hire the same firm that did the Chrome ads to do their tablet ads, but maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. We'll talk about that.
They did some good ads, and then
a few problems.
We'll talk about that.
Well, what about my assertion last week that what they really need is to find a good UI guy. I know that these people are in short supply.
Yeah.
But they need they need a Johnny Ive in hardware, and they need I would have thought Andy Rubin was the guy, but I don't know if he is. They need somebody who's brilliant in UI design. Because well, we can debate this another time, but you and I disagree over ice cream sandwich. I think ice cream sandwich is a UI disaster.
Yeah, you know, I think that I've fallen victim to this happens with me with Android a lot. It's like I see so much potential in this. Like,
well, you're a developer. You do see it. You have a completely different perspective as a developer. Right. You see it behind the scenes.
The decisions were like I know why they folded those menus into that the ellipsis button. So it's like okay, this is future proof. And it's going to look. That's not an excuse, and that's not a good reason to say the UI is good. But going back to what you said earlier, they don't grow Johnny Ives on trees.
There's a dearth of these people. I agree.
Yeah. And also, Jobs chose. I mean, Jobs. One of the most amazing things that he did was choose great people. Right? Like Jobs looked at Woz and knew that he was the engineer he wanted, and he found Johnny Ive. This isn't just a matter of just like hire a good product guy, and this is like a cultural DNA thing at Google. And a lot of people kind of skewered me and said, Google is an engineering company. They're made up of engineers and they build stuff for engineers, and asking them to design for humans is unfair. I completely disagree. Asking a consumer software company to design for humans, for people, is not an unfair request. In fact, it's
Let me ask you this, Gina. What company besides Apple even approaches your standards in any segment?
On the web, I think companies like, I mean, you know, kind of thinking sort of web startups, like I'm thinking companies like GitHub or Path.
Path's a very good example of a beautifully designed, but it's a much smaller thing. Would you put Facebook in that group? Because look, you need to look at a company that's on the scale of a Google.
Yeah,
because you can make a perfect Path, but that's a little app.
Yeah, it is a little app. Yes, I would put Facebook. Facebook figured out what people want and how to give it to them, and that's why they
clearly they're at 800 million users.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook has a very, very compelling thing that I never quite got my brain around. So maybe I'm not even a good.
No, I don't like their UI either. Although I think Sam Lessin did a great job with Timeline.
Yes,
I like Sam a lot, and I think he did a good job.
Yeah, Sam. Okay, there's somebody. There's an example of someone you hire, Sam Lessin.
Yes.
Of course, they lost him, but they could have acquired Sam and his company, and that would have been a good one.
Well, no, they did. No, they got it. They bought Dropio.
No, I mean Google could have.
Google could have. Yeah. But don't you think Google's DNA is to look for engineering talent?
Yes.
Period.
Yes. And developer relations.
And I'm at this conference today, and someone we like from Google was talking, and one of the journalism people just said, you know, they're just engineers. They're just different. They're not human.
No, I like engineers. I love engineers.
I do too.
But they're not the best UI designers. Look at an engineer's house. Look at these are guys who wash their hair with soap. They are not aesthetic. Well, they are aesthetic, but they're aesthetic in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is culturally enforced and maybe enforced in education. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. I think there can be good engineers who are also really good product people.
In fact, there are. We know there are. Yeah, but they're rare.
We know there are.
Yeah.
And there are great engineers. Later, we'll talk about that other story. You know, Matt Cutts, for example. I mean, he's a great engineer, right? But he should be head of communications at Google.
I agree.
At this point, you know,
yes.
so that
he did a great thing this week, which we're going to talk about. He did an amazing thing this week.
Yeah. So it's possible.
I
mean, Zuckerberg, engineer through and through, great sense of product.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He wouldn't have built Facebook if he didn't have a great sense of product.
Good point. Yeah. Google TV, stop talking about Google TV and start shipping. You don't like the new Google TV as much as I do.
Yeah, you know, so Google TV came out last year. You hated it. You reboxed it. You said this was annoying. I couldn't set it up, but, you know.
I did set it up. I unplugged it after a while. It was still under my TV when the update came. And I just plugged it back in.
So it was still on your TV. I loved it at first and was like, browser on my TV, best thing ever. And then the update came out, and you love it, and I was disappointed with the update.
Well, when we talked before the show, I share your disappointment. I don't feel that it has lived up to, you know, those apps are very limited. We need more apps. We both agree on that.
Definitely need more apps. And, you know, we're already a version of Android behind at this point. Like this update, which was supposed to happen end of summer, was months late and also is now already a version behind on Ice Cream Sandwich. And we talked about the app selection. I mean, the app selection at this point, it's like Netflix is a great app, Plex is nerdware, but also a good app. There's Space Invaders. That's kind of cool, but I'm also not going to play on Google TV. I'm going to play on my Xbox. And there's a Fireplace app. That's
it's pretty cool.
Right, it's a live fireplace. So I said
that is the kid. By the way, that is. It sounds like Gina's joking. That's the app everybody says. Oh, you got Google TV. You got to get. What is it called? Cool.
Classy Fireplace.
Classy Fireplace. You got to have that. And I have it.
And I said stop talking because, you know, Schmidt made this prediction that in 2012 all these TVs would have Google TV embedded in them. But the reality is that Logitech said that it was like one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made was launching with Review. And it just feels like the Google TV progress has been moving along at a snail's pace. So if it really is one of, you know, going to be a blockbuster thing in 2012, I want to see more movement on that front.
Gina, I think you're right there too. That also says that, okay, Larry, if these are your top priorities, you've now set them, then you better do excellently at all of those.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting challenge. Raise the bar for what's ready to ship. In other words, they put too much crap out with the saying, well, it's beta and we're gonna iterate. But Gmail was beta, but very good when it first came out.
Yeah, I mean, you can go too far the other way and think that you've gone through feature creep and waited forever and not gotten input from people. Yeah,
the way of thinking these days is ship early and iterate. Get something out and iterate. That's how everybody thinks nowadays in terms of app design. But I agree with you, Gina. I think that there's examples like Google Plus, Buzz is a very good example.
Yeah, that was the best.
And I could think you could maybe argue that Wave as well, that these things might have done better. Both Buzz and Wave were stillborn, might have done better had they paused.
Had they baked them a little more fully,
Yeah.
you know, had they seen them, you know, I think that release early and iterate often is also part of Google's DNA. I'm not saying that they should stop doing that, but I think the reality is when you get to the size that you are and the influence that Google has, the scale that Google's at, when Google releases a new product, it is a big freaking deal. They're not a small web startup anymore, and it has really wide-ranging consequences. So I just think that I would like to see Google say, this isn't quite ready to ship yet. A little. I want them to take things a little further. Honeycomb, not ready to ship. I felt like they just put it out there because they felt like they needed a tablet. Google Plus business pages released without the ability for several people to administer.
Yeah.
That seems like a very basic piece of functionality for something like that was long awaited. It was long awaited enough. If they had just taken it another month or another 2 weeks, however long would it have taken for multiple administrators, that would have felt a little more fully baked.
Or maybe they didn't even think of it. The problem is, I think that I'd put it a different way. I think they have to expand their dog food pen and put more dogs in it, including people outside of Google. And so they can release something. So the problem is if Scoble were in their dog food pen, he would have said, are you kidding? This product has to have this before you release it.
Yeah, let Scoble try it first.
Yeah.
Well, Scoble's it. That's it. That's it. If Scoble tries the products, we'll all be okay. And you know what? That's not insane, because he's the kind of guy who digs into a product and discovers those things. And they need more people like that who are outside Google.
Yeah.
They need you, Gina.
And also people who are not as sympathetic to Google. I mean, alongside the Robert Scobles, there should be the MG Sieglers.
There are a lot of, yeah. Too many fanboys
Giving
can
them
really...
the finger, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, that was interesting. That was interesting. Well, you know, even their policy around real names was not fully baked. You know, that ship before it was ready.
Had they just thought about it a little bit, they would have seen the issues.
Yeah.
So the problem is they're not open enough. I mean, so I think there's a question. It's not a binary thing. It's something along a continuum where they dog food inside the company or they release calling it a beta. And what you're saying, I think, Gina, is the betas aren't good enough to be betas. And the reason they're not good enough to be betas, however, is because not enough people have seen them. So there's a catch-22 here. They need more people to use the products early so that when they do put it out, even as a beta, it's better.
But I'm going even a little further and saying instead of depending on users to tell you what your product should be a little more opinionated and aggressive about what you think it should be from the beginning. You know what I mean? And iterate if that's the...
Yeah, but do they become Steve Jobs then? Do they become Apple where they say, we know what's best for you, people?
Yes, and they shouldn't go that far. I just want them to go like 1 or 2 notches toward that direction. You know what I mean? Like when they launched Google Plus and It's Complicated was one of the relationship status drop-downs, it just felt like
pretty
such
obvious.
A blatant
such
rip.
copy.
Like you couldn't come up with like a different phrase to describe, you know? So that kind of thing really frustrated me. Like I want to see them do something new, totally different. Not seem like they're playing catch up. Not seem like they're being timid and putting out something that's bland and doesn't really have sharp edges just to see what people say. I want them to be a little more opinionated about what their products are from the get-go.
I think Larry Page is stripping it down to the metal and is rebuilding it, and I think that all of this is something he's considering.
I think so too.
I think it's big company-itis. They're myopic. They are a little stuck in their ways, and I think Larry is really going to try to kick them in the butt.
Yep. I mean, my concern about this, and we don't have to stay on my post this long, but my last paragraph, I was saying that the thing that concerns me as an open source developer, to someone who's kind of committed to the values and the ideas around the word open, which became so charged because Google put that forth as like, this is our goal. You know, this is what we're committed to, openness. Is that I don't think open should mean that every feature gets included. It shouldn't mean designed by committee or consensus. It shouldn't mean cheap and mediocre. And like Google is in a position to prove that, and I want them to do that. I want them to show that open can win in a consumer market, not just the minds and hearts of developers, but also consumers. And that's what I want to see from that.
No, I agree with you. Investors Business Daily named Larry Page CEO of the year, even though he's only been CEO since April. I guess Leo Apotheker really couldn't have gotten that. So while noting that Google has increased revenues over the last 2 quarters by 32%, And Page took an aggressive approach to inspiring one of the Internet's top performers into something even better. I'd agree. I'm very encouraged by the cuts Larry made. As much as they hurt, I think that's encouraging. Meanwhile, Yahoo has a new CEO. Announced today, Scott Thompson, former president of PayPal. Can anyone save...
Why would anyone take that job? I mean, that and AOL...
They must have offered him a big job. I know, as many people pointed out, the problem is not the CEO position. They need a new board. And I don't think there's any way to win in that job.
No, I mean, I can't. All right, so let's play. Gina, you just fixed Google.
I just solved all that problem. So let's solve Yahoo.
Let's fix Yahoo. You can't fix Yahoo.
I think Yahoo's got bigger problems.
You cannot fix Yahoo. Isn't that odd, though? They have such good content. They have Flickr. They've got. I mean, I don't understand why you can't fix Yahoo.
I know Flickr is the one thing that makes me feel...
You know, I thought Flickr was a money loser. I really was convinced that Flickr was a money loser. Now, somebody who really knows says, no, it's very profitable.
Oh.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Even with all that bandwidth.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Storage. Yeah, that is surprising. I mean, then again, I pay for a Flickr Pro account, so...
Me too. That's where they make all their money.
Worth every penny.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Until Yahoo kills it. Let's take a break. We're going to come back with more, including the mind-boggling Matt Cutts. My hero. What he did was amazing. Just blows my mind. I want to talk a little bit about our phone system. I know this is a little weird, kind of inside baseball, but it's this. The company, we like the company so much they become a sponsor.
Nice.
Sometimes that happens. So when we moved into the new building here, the new TWiT studios, I had to face something I'd never even thought of. In the old cottage, we didn't have a phone system. We had one line, and I had cordless phones, and that was it. And everybody used their cell phones, right? And then because we just kind of grew. But when we're in a business here, we got 20 employees. We got spread out. We've got producers making calls. Everybody, we got people, using the company phone to do stuff. We've got an 800 number. And so I realized, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to get a phone system. I did not relish the idea of getting the PBX in the basement and the service contract. And God, I just thought this is not it. So we need to do something more modern. I said, well, is there a VoIP solution or something out there? I thought of putting building our own Asterisk server in the basement. And then, thank goodness, Russell Tammany, our IT guy, said, you know what I've done lately a lot is Ring Central. And I said, I don't know them. What is it? It's basically a virtual PBX system that's just fantastic. If you go to ringcentral.com, you can learn more about them. The idea is, we just get there's no configuration, there's nothing. That's why Russell likes it. He doesn't have to sit in the basement writing scripts for 4 days or have some guy from AT&T come over. You get the phones. We got these great Polycom sets. You plug them in. It's auto-configured. We have music on hold. We have all these extensions. And then there's other cool stuff, like there's an Android Ring Central app and an iPhone Ring Central app. So I can have my cell phone ring when somebody calls me on Ring Central. All my messages show up on my cell phone, including the audio, so I can listen to the audio. Is that out of focus? Oh, yeah, that's better. I can make calls from my cell phone that appear to come from Ring Central. So, I mean, not from Ring Central, but from the office numbers. So I don't want to accidentally show my... Here's Do Not Disturb. Do you love that? I can turn on Do Not Disturb so it won't ring. I have that on my phone in my office, too.
The busy signal. They brought back the busy signal.
It just goes to voicemail. There's no busy signal, but it goes to voicemail. The voicemail is very sophisticated. As I said, voicemails in my email. They could show up on my cell phone. When I make a call from my cell phone, it comes from the company number. So when people call me back, it calls back on the company number. Our producers love that because they do want to use their cell phone sometimes. But they don't want to have to use it all the time, and they don't want to give out their cell phone number to everybody. I just love this thing. $25 per user per month. And that includes unlimited long distance in the U.S. and Canada. It includes faxing. I was paying almost that much for an eFax account. And we all have faxing. Faxes go to our inboxes, faxes out. It's just fantastic. Real phone lines everywhere, but it is so just check it out. I want you to check it out. For 30-day trial, just visit ringcentral.com. I don't even have an offer code or anything. Just go. Or call 800-800-4070. 800-800-4070 is the #1 cloud phone system for business. I know why now. It's the way phones should be. So easy. You just plug it in. Ringcentral.com if you want to know more. Yeah, it's kind of a nice thing when, well, you know, we try with our advertisers. I don't do any advertisements for stuff that we don't use. So we don't, you know, people ask to advertise all the time. We just say, you know, I can't. I don't know you. I don't know the product. So it's kind of nice. We've got the Ring Central system. It was like 2 days after Russell said we're going to, and then they called and said we want to advertise. So I said, okay, I think so.
That's great. That's great. It's a true endorsement.
It is, and we've had it for 6 months now. I think we all agree it's just great. It's just a really neat solution. So this is just the weirdest story. Chrome violates Google's paid links policy. People noted it. And so Matt Cutts said, we've investigated and we're taking action to demote the Chrome site for 60 days. Now, it was more complicated than, there was only one paid link. What happened was what Google wanted to do was get videos, I guess, on these sites. I don't know exactly what it was. They wanted people to see
there's
videos.
something still slimy there, is that for Google to do paid placement for blog posts.
Well, they shouldn't have ever done that.
They shouldn't have done that. And that's just bad on its own. It wasn't, in only one case did it end up causing links.
Here's what Matt said.
Right.
By the way, talk about transparency. He posted it on Google Plus yesterday. Google was trying to buy video ads about Chrome. They're trying to buy ads. And these sponsored posts were an inadvertent result of that. So what they thought they were doing is buying ads on these websites, but what actually happened is they got a sponsored post. We did find one sponsored post that linked to google.com/Chrome that in a way that flowed PageRank. I don't know what that means. Flowed.
In a way that would influence PageRank because it would look like a link.
It looked like a paid link.
It didn't have the no follow attribute on it, right? So sponsored posts are supposed to have the no follow attribute on them. So there are 24 of these. One of them did not have a no follow attribute.
That seems pretty minor.
Yeah, it does.
But they're pure. Matt's being pure, and that's what's great about them. So,
for 60 days, if you search for Chrome, you won't find google.com/Chrome.
God.
Wait a minute, I got to do that. Wait a minute, this is just wild. I mean, for a company to do that, he says, well, now here it is.
Well, you get the support, right? You get
the support window.
Support.google.com. You don't get google.com/Chrome, although you do get the sponsored
I guess
link.
you get mostly what you want. But if you go, I think you have to go like 6 pages down to find google.com/Chrome. But now, as I look at this, they put an ad on here that says install Google Chrome as the ad result.
So the link is there.
Did Matt do enough?
Truthfully, I think they did too much.
That's crazy.
They penalized themselves much more than they would have a third party because they said that they felt that they had to hold themselves to a higher standard. So, I mean,
we have taken stricter action than we would against a typical site.
Well, but let's talk about this for a second in another way. I think it's Matt being honorable and good, but let's remember that Google is always facing. Let's put it this way: what would this question look like when asked by a senator to Eric Schmidt in Washington?
Right.
And the area where Google now faces more pressure as a monopolist, I think, will be Chrome, because it has now passed Firefox. It soon could well surpass IE. It has great value, and so I think they have to be. So yes, Gina, it was theatrically masochistic on their part, but I think it's more than just
culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima.
I mean, so guilty. I was like,
like a good Catholic boy.
Yeah. Scarlet A was in the back of the closet. It just felt a little like much.
Well, if you investigate, and I don't want to defend them, but if you investigate, they hired an ad firm, Unruly Media, and I guess Unruly Media made a mistake. They were trying to buy ad placements, and in one case, it screwed up. I do think that maybe went a little far. But it's good PR, right? They're getting, in a way, they're getting a lot more press than. And you still are a number. You got an ad on the top of the search results. If I'm looking for Chrome and I Google Chrome, which is kind of cuckoo, but if I did that, I'm going to get that link. That's the first thing. Even though it's an ad, it's exactly what I want. So what have they lost? Nothing, and they get a lot of good PR.
Leo, what if you
to be a little
search
clueless?
Searching for Chrome?
Search for browser, Leo.
Oh, okay. Let's try that. Talk about clueless. I'm using Safari, which still has a separate Google search window. It just drives me nuts. So let's Google browser. Well, number one, Google disciplines itself in Chrome browser PageRank controversy. That's the number one result. Number two result, Firefox. Number three, Wikipedia's entry for web browser. Then Wikipedia's entry for Chrome. Then Opera. Then a site called The Browser. Then a definition from browser Chrome, which is not the same as Google Chrome. It's the UI on and then another news story, and then Safari.
Oh.
And then IE, and nowhere on here even is an ad for Google Chrome except
I don't want to live in a world where Opera ranks higher than Chrome in search results for browser. I just
so this is so I wonder, this must be the penalization.
This is it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, but what it also gives them is the opportunity when somebody else messes up and they say, these are the standards we're going to hold you to.
Yeah.
They can always say we held ourselves to higher standards in this example.
They have to.
That's true.
No, this is the right thing to do. It's weird. And I can imagine that Matt's going to be getting some cold shoulders in the company cafeteria for a little while. But
I think that Google has lots of opportunities to promote Chrome. I mean, I think the only thing about this story,
like the Super
that made
Bowl,
me go,
probably.
Oh yeah,
right. Like the Super Bowl and like the front page of the Google search, Google.com.
Yeah.
The thing about this story that just surprised me was Google was unaware, like Google hired an advertising firm and was unaware that part of that package was getting sponsored blog posts on what looked to be these like no-name blogs that, from people who just sort of accept, write posts for Duncan Hines, random brands. I don't know. How did that get through? I imagine there were some internal discussions about that. Yeah. I imagine there were some internal discussions about how do we make sure we don't hire someone who's doing something like this without us being super aware of what's happening.
That's exactly it, Gina, because it cheapens the whole web. What's wrong about this isn't trying to screw with PageRank. The whole world does that. What's wrong about this is trying to buy the voice of blogs, buy the authentic voice of the web. It falls into the worst of demand media and all that stuff. It's what was it? Paper Post was that horribly evil thing that changed its name and still does badly. You're exactly right, Gina. That's the bad part. And whoever did that should be the one getting the cold shoulder somewhere outside of Google today.
Yeah,
it's true, but I think that's just part of what you get when you hire an ad firm. I think this is probably just part of it, right? Like you
supervise them.
Yeah, you got a media plan. You tell the advertising agency what your goal is. The agency.
They are called unruly media.
Yeah.
Bad boy advertising agency.
Does Unruly Media say anything on its site, Leo? I'm sorry I'm asking you to do this, but I'm trying to stay off the browser so I don't screw up my bandwidth worse.
Let me Google Unruly Media. It's unrulymedia.com.
See if they got punished too. Yeah.
They are viral. They're a viral company. They do social. This is what they do. They do, I'm sure, pay for post stuff. That's what they're doing. They're going after advertisers who want to be a little different.
It's word of mouth advertising, so-called.
Maximize sharing. Unruly's proprietary technology platform, RAMP, real-time amplification and measurement platform, enables us to sell guaranteed engaged time with your audience.
Bingo. How can you guarantee engaged time with us, the people?
We can expose your content to hundreds of millions of unique users across our hand-picked portfolio of blogs.
Ooh.
They're basically saying, this is what we do.
I mean, and Google just has this, like, army of quality tech blogs who basically cover,
they don't need to do
these Chrome ads for free because the ads were actually good.
You only pay when people are actively watching and engaging with your content. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm going to barf. Unruly can amplify the effects of bot media by seeding videos to influential journalists, bloggers, and Twitterati and spreading content across channels and fan bases on social. Have we ever heard from these guys? Have they ever contacted us? If they ever come in the door, throw them out on their ass. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and StumbleUpon, helping you earn attention, generate peer recommendation, and igniting word of mouth. Unfortunately, this is what's wrong right now with the Internet, is that influential journalists are allowing themselves to have videos seeded. Terrible.
Well, it's the same Steve Waldman, who's a brilliant journalist who did a report recently for the FCC about the future of journalism. He just did a piece online, you can find it if you Google it, about TV stations violating FCC law by regulation, by taking video press releases, putting them on the air, and not identifying the source.
Happens all the time.
Exactly, and there's regulation about that because TV is regulated. Well, we the blogosphere are not and never should be regulated, but there's some call. I mean, the FTC believes that we should be for these purposes if we're not forthcoming. And then when you have companies going along and trying to pay to do that, and you have Google paying such a company to do that, that's the big mistake. That's where they should be in the woodshed.
Yeah. So clearly, if Google hired this company, which they did, they knew what they were doing. Yeah.
Google.
The bad Google. They knew what they were doing.
The company who just a year ago never ran a commercial.
Right.
Was strange.
Hey, what are they going to now? Their Super Bowl commercial in 2010 was an old commercial. It was old, and I don't remember what they did last year. Was it another one that we'd seen before? I think it was. It was the romance one.
I think so.
There was the one with
the
French love
story.
Thing.
That was I think 2010 Super Bowl.
Yeah. So and that was the first time that they had ever bought a TV commercial, like big airtime, right? So it was more than a year ago.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what they did in 2011.
But they didn't make a new ad. They just used an old ad. So I'm hoping they'll make a new ad. I think they'll have to make a new ad this year for a Super Bowl.
What do you think they'll advertise?
Well, so those were for search, right?
Yeah.
And they have that Google Plus ad now that we've seen, which is not a good ad. The one about he's in her creeper's circle, she's in his true love circle, and then he's slowly terrible ad. It makes Google Plus look incredibly complicated to use. Which Super Bowl is this? Is this XLI chat room or XL? I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm just looking to see if there's a Google ad in XL. There's a GoDaddy ad. Maybe GoDaddy will do an ad on how they love SOPA. I mean, we hate SOPA. Love it. Hate it.
Good
it's
God.
XLVI. Oh, so this is really old. XL.
Don't even get me started on GoDaddy, Leo.
Don't get me started.
Don't even.
I'm just proud to say we've hated them since 2009.
Me too.
I just didn't like the sexy ads. I thought this is just cheesy.
Well, yeah, right. It was like misogyny, shooting elephants, SOPA. Take your pick.
Take your pick, exactly.
Yeah. Though that was an interesting thing. I forget her name suddenly. The young woman who started the petition against Bank of America is also the one who started the major petition against GoDaddy. And she's like 22 years old, and she started this out of nowhere.
Good for her.
And she's now been featured. And so I'll be careful. I'll edit myself rarely for the purposes of your rating, Leo. But if you want to start an S-storm against something, the question I asked in my blog was: is there a point at which GoDaddy, and I'm not sure this point exists, right? But just theoretically, is there a point at which they reach enough penance that they get forgiven and they get business back? Oh,
no, it's already happened. You know, there was this big dump GoDaddy movement. It was a blip compared to, they have like, I saw the numbers, the number of new subscribers every day on GoDaddy, it well outweighs any number of people who dropped GoDaddy.
Yeah, but would that happen anyway?
Yes, they don't have to do anything.
They don't do anything, you know. So, but just theoretically, that if you go after a company at some point, is there a goal? Is there a behavior that you expect? And if they reach it, that you say, okay, you're forgiven now. Now, I think the argument about GoDaddy is, well, no, there's too much to forgive. Dead elephants, misogynist, big-breasted ads.
That was actually, of all of the things, that was the thing that bugged me the most about them, was this.
Also, there's just a ton of crappy upsells, and tell you it's this much.
That too.
It just feels that way all the way around. Yeah.
But I do like the fact that you. I'm sorry, but right after the GoDaddy thing with SOPA, then we had the Verizon $2 to pay your bill fee.
Oh, that was great. Within 24 hours, that got killed.
And that's the cloud. That's the customer cloud.
Love it. We're getting some cloud here.
Yeah.
It's about time. By the way, I'm going to pat myself on the I've turned down GoDaddy advertising since day one, and they offer a significant amount of money.
I
couldn't do GoDaddy ads. Are you kidding me?
You're
That makes
pointing
me so
at your
happy,
breasts as you
Leo.
say that, Leo.
I'm
It
not
makes me really
busty
happy.
enough. But we were glad when Hover.com and Elliot Noss from Two Cows came to us at Hover.com, and that's a good company. I was glad to support them.
Yeah, I love to see the scrappy kind of upstarts take
Yeah.
advantage of
Now,
yeah.
people are going to point out that TWiT.tv is still registered at GoDaddy, and that's because they locked my domain when I tried to transfer it, and which drove me crazy. Now I think they've turned that thing off, so I just have been lazy. I got to go over there and transfer it.
Right, so the locking domains, the blocking domains, making it difficult for people to leave
Yeah.
is like yet another.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, like we don't not like sex. Sex is good. Sex sells. We like to look at pretty
I
people.
think people know that I like sex an awful lot, actually.
That's not what we're arguing against.
I'm no prude. I just try to keep.
I love you. I love you. I really do.
It was on this show, you know.
Yeah.
But it was so fast, I thought, I mean, I knew it happened. And Eileen switched right away from it, and I thought, oh.
I didn't know. I
Who
didn't
was
know
the
what
person
happened.
out of life who did this, though?
It happened so
Jeez.
fast that I thought, oh, I'm not going to ask her to edit it because it's not. Nobody's going to see it. And by the way, this was in October or something. This was
Yeah.
early October.
Yeah, the timing was
It was a little weird. Anyway, I don't want to go on about it, but yeah, I would edit it out if I thought anybody would see it. But I just thought, oh, it's so quick, big deal, nobody will see it. But you see, what I forget is that you guys, our viewers, they're
really
they're
good.
eagle-eyed, and of course you could freeze it. I mean, it's easy. You just stop it and say, oh, what was that? Whoa! So Google got fined. Change the subject. This is just, gosh, I feel bad for Google on this one.
I feel bad for Google, and I feel bad for the principles of the net again.
This is terrible.
It's a free speech issue.
This is completely misunderstanding how Google works.
And how the net works, and how the notion of our combined activity stream leading to data works. That you're trying to control. What they're trying to control in the end is our behavior, because that's where that search comes from.
Is that the case, or does this French court just not understand what Google? So here's what happened.
Yeah,
you know, when you start typing in a search result, Google suggests what you might mean, and they're lots of fun. We can have some fun with it right here if I just type my name in. I'm sure it'll. I'll do it to myself. Leo Laporte is an idiot, a jerk, a douche, and awesome. Now, so what happened is that a French company, you'd type that company's name in, and you'd get is a crook, and they sued
and
won. Now I can't sue. This happens because it's purely algorithmic, right? It's just because.
Yes. But this is the kind of control that European regulators and courts of various sizes and sites want to put on Google, but thus the net. Because all Google's doing is reflecting our behavior. And they're saying that we wish people wouldn't behave this way, and so we're going to make you hide that from the world.
Yeah.
It's not Google's job.
No,
they're
search.
Google's job.
That's what search is.
Well, and if Google comes along and says, you know what, okay, you're right. We believe now that we don't like pick it. You know, we're saying we agree with Rick Santorum, and we don't like gay people. Right. And they start.
Oh, poor Rick Santorum. Oh my God! Don't Google him.
Story, but I don't think it's poor Rick Santorum what he's been saying about gays lately. But that's what I'm saying. So he's getting this Jew comeuppance.
That's called a Google bomb. That's different than the search results. That's when a group concerted the first Google bomb.
Was Bush? Wasn't Bush an idiot? Or
well, you would Google the word failure. And George Bush would show up. That was the first Google bomb I remember. But the idea is a lot of cooperating websites tie one thing to another thing through links. Google algorithmically, and I'm telling you, you cannot expect them to change that. Otherwise, it breaks the search algorithm. Came up with this connection. You type in failure, you get George Bush. The smart thing to do, which is what the George Bush campaign did, is start buying other links so that you have a response. So somebody who didn't like Rick Santorum.
Dan Savage. Who's
That's right. Dan Savage started it.
It Gets Better.
Yeah. Good on Dan.
Which is interesting. Yeah.
Dan said, "What could we do?"
What can we do?
And I'm going to leave it at that. And please don't, folks, if you're at all sensitive, do not look up.
You know, what's interesting about this, I had this experience this week. I was looking for a hotel in D.C. So I'm going to be traveling there next week. And I typed in the name of a hotel into the Google search box. And the first suggestion was bed bugs.
Wow.
And I didn't even highlight to see what the... I just moved on. Like, the decision was made for me instantly. No, thank you. Not staying there, right? And, you know, Dana Boyd wrote an interesting piece.
Which, by the way, doesn't mean that there were any...
Doesn't mean that there were bed bugs. And it doesn't even mean that there's a lot written on the web about them having bed bugs. All it means is that people searched for this hotel name plus bed bugs. To see if they had any, right? I mean, you know, so I don't even know. This is the thing. Like, this is reflecting not only... It's not just there are lots of web pages out there that say, you know, this hotel has bed bugs. It means that people were searching for. So... Yes. Dana wrote a great piece about, you know, a fictitious high school student with an Indian name who people decide, you know, wanted to know whether or not he was a terrorist, right? And kept searching. This person is a terrorist. This person is a terrorist. Now, there's nothing written on the web about this person being a terrorist. Now, this person's going into college, and the first autocomplete suggestions for this fictitious person's name. But I thought this was a good example. Was Al Qaeda terrorist?
Right.
You know, so. You know, this is, you know, so this is guilt by algorithmic association.
So now that's a good example of something that doesn't seem very fair. And the bed bug example is another good example. Maybe this isn't, maybe Google Suggest has some flaw.
Well, but you know, it's no different, you know, but if let's say if there were ridiculous sites written about that kid being a terrorist, and they're all just as wrong, and people actually wrote the stuff, and people clicked on it, that's going to rise in search.
But the suggest doesn't come from that. It comes from people searching.
No, what I'm saying
doesn't come from links.
Could happen. But the same thing could happen in that case.
Is it both?
But that's different.
Well,
to me, if people, because people are proactively writing articles saying George Bush is a failure, George Bush is a failure, that's different from the fact that somebody's saying, well, do they have bed bugs at this hotel? That is in no way asserting that they do have bed bugs in that hotel. It's just saying this is a common search, but it implies... It makes this connection. That's what Dana's saying here. It makes this connection that's a spurious connection, and people now there's a couple of possibilities. People will get educated and say, "Oh, that's just a suggestion."
Right.
Yes.
But I don't think we work that way. You know that, Gina, and you still didn't go to that hotel.
I know how this works, and when I saw bed bugs, I was like, "Whoa." Moving on. Like it wasn't, you know.
And there's nothing the hotel can do about that.
Right.
Well, Gina, I would be curious that if you searched for that hotel and went ahead with the search to find out how much is written about bed bugs at that hotel, whether there's something behind it.
Yeah, it's and you know, I am. Several people asked me, well, did you go to the bed bug registry? Apparently, there's a bed bug registry for hotels about whether or not there have actually been, which I probably should have done. You know, I was in a rush. I needed a hotel, and but it was my first visceral reaction, and I'm educated about how all this all works. Was whoa. Right. You know, moved on. So I will look into that to see if this poor hotel actually. But
Leo, are you saying that the court is right?
No, actually, I'm not. I mean, obviously, Google can't. This is algorithmic, so Google's off the hook. So there's no way that you find them. But I am suggesting that maybe Google wants to rethink this because it does have an unintended consequence that is potentially harmful to this kid, this imaginary kid that Dana's writing about, to this hotel. Guilt, she calls it guilt through algorithmic association. So I don't blame Google, but I wonder if maybe they should not surface this. She says, interestingly, guilt through algorithmic association is not constrained to Google. This is an issue for any and all systems that learn from people and convey collective intelligence back to users.
Okay, but the problem then is us. We've met the enemy, and he is us. And so what we're trying to do is figure out as a society in so many areas what our new norms and expectations are. And so, you know, can you legislate that? Can you throw it through courts? Can you regulate that? Or do we have to learn, or do we have to create better technology that starts to learn where this stuff happens? But it's about the changing of our norms, really. And it's something new that's come up that we're trying to grapple with and figure out. But the problem at the nut is us.
Yeah. So I am making the distinction between Google bombing, which is actual search results that connect to phrases, and this algorithmic thing that doesn't have anything to do with content.
Right, I mean, but
it
this is the new Google bombing, right? I mean, this is
the new
what
manipulation.
But you can't. How do you manipulate it? You can't manipulate.
you keep
You
searching for.
You'd have to do a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of people
Well,
have to do.
you can organize that in Twitter now. Here's my fantasy. What I want to do is organize everyone in New Hampshire and North Carolina to lie to whatever pollster there is about who they're voting for. So we grab away from the horse race journalists the data to make believe that they know what's happening. And you could organize that pretty easily now through social media.
I would like to ask a favor of all my friends if they would start searching for Leo Laporte as a handsome, handsome fellow. Because I just don't think idiot, jerk, douche, and awesome describe me.
Well, no, wait. By the way, is that becoming because people are saying Leo Laporte idiot in a search, or is it because there's idiot in documents about you?
Yeah, actually, it is because, well, it looks like I'm getting search results that connect me to idiot.
But I'm not sure but I'm not sure, Leo. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Gina. I'm not sure that in that case that data came purely from search requests.
Right. No, I think it must be more than that.
I think it's a combination.
So if you just search Leo Laporte, then you get podcast KGO, which was one of my radio stations, used to be until they went. That's another story. To the dark side. Twitter and website. So that makes those are searches, right? Those are common searches. Leo Laporte podcast, Leo Laporte KGO, Leo Laporte Twitter, Leo Laporte website. It's the is that is puzzling. What happens there?
Yeah, you see, I'm not so sure that comes just from search, and that's purely algorithmic in that sense.
Yeah, what is that?
That's bombing too. You know, God knows. Is idiot returning his iPad?
And idiot returning his iPad is a twit is a what?
Huh.
Right, so people did not search for...
No, this is content.
His iPad.
No, this is content. Yeah, you're right.
This is content, yeah.
Well, why do people hate us, Jeff? Let's see. Gina, it'll probably say...
God.
No, let me.
Oh, boy.
Gina is
I won't
lovely,
do that one.
Gina's sweet.
Yeah, we'll just
Gina's
pretend.
Intelligent. All of which is true.
Well, you know, I don't write about my wife
know
a
what?
lot, but I talk about her.
You know what?
I think marriage and wife are like one of
Nothing.
the top.
I get nothing. There is
Nothing.
no suggestion for Gina Smith. Oh, I said Smith.
Yeah.
That's not your
Sorry,
name.
I was going to correct you.
That's not your name.
Leo.
Whoever Gina Smith is.
You know what? This is it. Gina Smith is a woman I worked with for many years, my former radio host.
Okay. There we go.
Co-part. Gina Trapani is married.
Yeah, and now
That's it.
I mean, I don't write about it that much. I suppose there isn't a result there for when.
Well, there's just
our
married.
photo.
Flickr photo sharing is number
Okay,
one.
okay.
Number two is from Friendfeed, then Google Plus. So, how come you avoided the douche idiot?
Because she is neither, and we
Because
are.
she's too
Leo.
nice. So this
Just
proves it, Jeff. Your contention is absolutely right that it is content based, because Gina's a sweetheart, and we're
Yes. There it is.
Not
It's
so
it's a combination. It's definitely a combination.
all right. Enough of that.
Now I'm feeling all self-conscious about being Google. Although every show,
Clearly-
every few shows, we have to Google ourselves.
Yeah, we do, because who knows what's going to happen.
One of the rules.
Clearly, the $65,000 fine is just clueless. Unfortunately, there's a lot of these clueless courts, not just in France, all over. Spain just passed SOPA, basically.
Yep.
Should be very interesting to see. This will be a good test tube to see what happens in Spain. Now, this will happen in March. Spanish government will have the right to just cut websites off. Watch carefully, see what happens.
And don't forget that you have basically the predecessor to Occupy Wall Street in the Indignados of Spain.
Oh,
so you have
that's
an organized
interesting.
piratey movement in Spain. And the government may want to kind of shut them off.
Yep,
once
I
in a
bet they do. And in this news, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead.
Wait.
Maybe not.
Sir, I'm sorry, Louis, I got to ask that. Search for Generalissimo Francisco Franco. What does it say? If it says that he's a douche,
That's an interesting question. Wait a minute.
let's hope it says he's dead.
Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead.
Still dead. Yeah.
Still seriously dead. This is, you know what's cool about that? It shows that Google even has some history, because this is all predates Google.
Yeah.
Has some history. There's history in there. That's nice.
There's a YouTube video about that?
Yeah, because it's from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, Saturday Night Live, right? Okay, right.
So these are all SNL going back
Gina,
30.
right now, Gina's too young to have any idea. She's wondering what the hell
This happened before she was born. This is how old we are, Jeff.
We were
just rolling with it.
We were adults. We were watching this. She was not even born.
Oh, the old guys are going off again.
What are they talking about again? Guy Lombardo. Google.
I'm a sponge. I want to learn from you.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be old too someday, Gina. Don't you forget it.
So maybe those search results are a little bit based on age.
I mean, like they know I'm an old man?
Leo
Searching?
Laporte is.
Oh.
Jeff Jarvis is.
Oh, that's right. We've been around long enough to be hated.
We have more track record,
It's
right?
true.
Yeah.
You got more
We have more
enemies.
douche opportunities.
My life goal: get more enemies.
No.
Be a little more emo.
No. Everybody loves Gina Trapani.
The opposite of love. It ain't indifference.
It's true. They're just different sides of the same coin.
Yep.
Google buys 217 patents from IBM. The Verge, I love The Verge. They're going to be at CES too, and I'm looking forward to getting Nilay and company on the show. Joshua Topolsky. Big Blue is selling 217 patents, including mobile phone patents, patents on data caching, blade servers, and server load balancing. Maybe it's just Google says if we can get them, we should.
Stock up.
Stock up on patents. Mm-hmm. It's patents, buy patents.
You know, but it's still a pity that's where capital goes. Google has billions of dollars that it could, like Apple and other companies, they could be investing in things that are going to create jobs and create new technologies, and instead they're buying friggin' old patents.
I agree. Hey, Tom Merritt, did you see this? Russ Pitts just took a job with The Verge.
They're doing prep, but I think he knows.
He's our old producer. Crazy guy. He wrote the best, the funniest I Quit letter ever at Tech TV. If I could find it, I would read it out loud in a dramatic voice. It's very funny. Android 4.0. That is ice cream sandwich, which we were talking about. Apparently, Android is saying that Google is saying that the Android Holo theme is required. What is this?
It just means that any Android device that's 4.0 or higher has to ship with Google's default Holo theme.
That's what they're saying is no more fragmentation.
Right. This is partially they're saying no more fragmentation.
How do they enforce this?
Because that's not true in the open source, right?
No, this isn't. So this is for the phones that get the Google name on them and have the Android market. So if the Google Android market is on the phone and the Google name is on it, so not Kindles, but phones that have the Google endorsement, this is now one of the requirements that Google's enforcing. And I'm happy to see this. Right? This is one of the things that I want to see them do is use these rules about you get to use our name when. So basically they're saying that every 4.0 Android device from here on in has to ship with the Holo theme, which is awesome for developers because it means that you know that your app will look the same on every device.
Ship with it, or does it have to use it?
It has to ship with it, so it doesn't have to use it. But when you build your app, as a developer building your app, you can specify, I'm using the Holo theme, and you know that any 4.0 device and higher will use it. Will look the same across any device, no matter, even if the manufacturer has created a new skin.
So this is an issue, of course, HTC, Samsung, Motorola, everybody's skins, LG skins. You know, they've got Samsung's TouchWiz, which is okay, but it's a little kind of candy-coated. HTC, which really is a big shift. I think it's nice, but some people hate it. Motorola, of course, horrible. No, I don't know anybody who likes what Motorola does to Android. So all of these guys they'll continue to be able to do that, but the Holo theme will be there. So like your app, when todo.txt runs, you can specify turn off the TouchWiz and be just Holo.
Use the Holo, and it'll be the unmodified version of the Holo theme. So manufacturers can't change the theme. which is fantastic. So it just makes it easier for developers to have one design target, to trust that it's going to look the same across every device, and that's from 4.0 on, and they made it a little easier even for earlier devices. The early devices don't have the theme, but they've created these new theme families. Android handles themes really nice. As a developer, you say, I'm going to use this theme, and then here are my customizations. It's like having like a base CSS style sheet.
Right.
It's not CSS, it's XML, but same difference. Just a list of rules, and then you can make your customization. So this is a nice step forward for developers designing good-looking apps, and you'll know that it looks the same.
And I love Holo. I think it. I've said nasty things about Ice Cream Sandwich. Mostly, it's about the movable buttons, but I do think Holo is gorgeous. I think they did a nice job.
The theme is nice,
Yeah.
and the typography is really nice. So I'm excited about this.
Love that new Droid font. Isn't it ironic that Motorola's customization is called Blur? Like they thought that was a good name for anything having to do with the user interface. Oh, let's call it Blur, huh?
So it'll make it really hard to figure out whether or not you're tapping the right thing.
Blur?
Kind of illegible.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Goes so fast.
Yes, I'm using the new Motorola Ugly font with Blur enabled.
This is the iffy release.
Yes. Crashy 1.0. Ice Cream Sandwich is now on 0.6% of Android devices. So if you do a little math, according to Brian Bishop writing for The Verge, that's 707,000 Nexuses, because that's the only device with it, right?
And the Nexus S. Right, so the Nexus
S is upgraded. Right. Boy, it was, we didn't talk about this because it happened Christmas. No, I guess we did, Jeff. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day,
Yes.
3.75 million Android activations.
Yep.
Last week, when you combine Apple and Android app sales, 1.2 billion apps sold last week.
These numbers just go over my head now. I have no scale to figure out what they mean.
It's huge.
You know, I understand something like viewers of a TV show or circulation of a newspaper or magazine. I don't get, and you know, remembering too that a lot of the majority of apps that are downloaded are never used.
Right. Well, and it was Christmas, right? So in Hanukkah, so a lot of people had new phones and they downloaded a lot of apps. I'm not surprised, but the first billion-plus week. Also, Google Plus traffic leapt 55% in December. 49 million visits, according to Experian Hitwise.
Well,
I'm fighting about Google Plus. Go ahead, Gina.
Google Plus posts rank very high in search results. So if this is measuring visits, people are Googling and they're finding. I mean, each Google Plus post is its own web page. And in fact, I added a story to the rundown. Someone complaining that, you know, I wrote a post on my blog and then someone posted on a Google Plus and their post ranked higher than my post.
Yeah, we both put that in there. John Mitchell.
That's frustrating.
From Read Write Web. I think he went a little bit overboard. It's on the list as John Mitchell there.
He said that Google Plus is going to ruin the internet.
Because he argues that it's social SEO now, and that rather than his post coming up first, two references to his post came up first.
Well, so what?
So social beats the original. I agree. I think it's overblown as heck.
In fact, isn't that great that people are reading your freaking post?
Yeah, I agree. Somewhere in there is something interesting that happens about the social discussion becomes an entity the same way as the content you're discussing. But that's okay.
Why don't you like it, Gina?
It's an example.
Why don't you like it?
Well, I don't like that you can't link to articles inline inside a Google Plus post. So you can have that one link that you post, and you can discuss it.
I agree with that.
You really can't do a full
They
blog
need to
with
add that.
attribution.
They know that, Gina.
They know that, right? So if I posted something to my blog and then several people have discussed it on Google Plus and used my headline as their first line of their post, I'm grateful for that. That's awesome. But, you know, Google's search results should be smart enough to know this is the link that's associated with this discussion happening on Google Plus, so we should rank that higher than the Google Plus posts. Yes. And I think that's what he was complaining about. And so I
think in a news search, like if you were looking Google News, yes. In a straight-on search, it should be just whatever gets the most Google juice.
Whatever has the most Google juice. So, like, yeah.
If there's 8,000 comments on that Google Plus post and there's 20 on yours,
right, then that's more significant, right?
It's more significant.
Right.
And I would submit, but you're still driving traffic to your site, aren't you?
Absolutely. you want people discussing your stuff. And the fact is that sharing, I mean, this is what you want to do. You want to write good content, but then you want it to get shared and discussed. Definitely. I just don't like that Google Plus has so many limitations that you can't link inside Google Plus the way that you can.
They need to fix that.
On the web. They need to fix
definitely need to fix that.
And you could argue that links are what power the web, and the fact that you can't make links in a Google Plus post on multiple links is weird and limiting.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
But the other thing that I want to do, I was at this conference today, Richard Gingras, who wants to be on the show, by the way.
Oh, good. I'd love to have him on.
Which would be great. So we'll have him on, head of Google News, now part of Google Plus. One thing that I want and said to him is, and I've said this before, but as a YouTube video is playable inside a Google Plus post or a blog or anywhere, so should an article be playable.
Kind of embedded?
Embedded, yeah. So that if I want to point to a Guardian article and point to this paragraph, right now what I do, of course, is I cut and paste it out and put a link in. But as Gina says, you only have one link, and it's limited. Why can't I put, just as I would a YouTube video, put the entire article with that highlight in it, with their brand and their revenue and their analytics and their links all inside that post? Now, that's not a limitation of Google Plus. That's a limitation of media companies thinking this way. It's a limitation of Google Plus insofar as we need a standard for doing that. But Gina, I'll imagine you could figure out how to do that with the hand tie behind your back and 2 drinks down your gullet, right?
Well, I don't know if I want to embed a whole other web page with all their advertising in it, like in a Google.
No, not the whole page. Just an article. Take an article that is designed for this purpose.
Right. So say, okay, here's a block quote, and here's attribution to that block quote, and
here's the whole article if you want to read it.
Right.
You're right. No, it's not the web page taken as a whole. It says here's the article, and by the way, there's some revenue attached to it as an opportunity.
I mean, I think part of Google Plus too is the API. Like, there has to be a way to express that kind of structured data. Multiple links and pull quotes with attribution, and Google Plus has started to do that. Like, when you get a link, you get certain bits of metadata: the title, the URL, the description, and the thumbnail image. So we're starting to get there a little bit. It would be nice if it was like, the pull quote, the attribution, the author name, and then have to be able to have multiple ones.
We'd have to make sure we had that metadata on our sites properly formatted, right?
Right. Well, but if you want to highlight one paragraph and
you could do it yourself.
Yeah. Right. You'd have to do you could do it yourself. But there's no way to express that. Right now, I do this on Google Plus all the time. I will put just quote marks and put the text, a little pull quote of the text someone else said. In fact, I did that recently, a really funny rant, and my brother, texted me and was like, "Are you angry? Like, is everything okay?" I was like, no, I didn't write that. The author wrote that. But it does feel a little bit like, I'm copying and pasting someone else's content into my Google Plus post, and if it shows up higher in results, it feels a little unfair to them.
Right.
But also, I see
all we have to do is tell Google that we will use Google Plus more if you'll just do these few things.
Yes.
I think we would. I think I would be much more apt to use it.
And they would learn more. They would learn more about content. They would learn more about who's authoritative and whom we cite. They need that data in there.
Yes.
I
can't imagine that's difficult.
No. Well, as they said to me when I pushed them on, there's somebody there, not Richard, somebody else, and they said, well, we do have Blogger. They have all the publishing module they need.
That's true.
They should do it. It seems like an easy.
And you can have the simple mode where you can do it just as is, and you want to link to something, but you can have the advanced mode where you can put all kinds of stuff in.
All right, real quickly, because we got to run. Phone Dog Noah. Noah Kravitz wrote for Phone Dog, created a Twitter account with 17,000 followers over an 8-month period. PhoneDog_Noah left Phone Dog. Phone Dog suing him, saying, wait a minute, we want that account. That's in effect a customer list which you took with you. Who owns a Twitter account?
Who owns the relationships?
I think Phone Dog Noah does. Yes?
But there is no more Phone Dog Noah.
There's just Noah.
There's just Noah.
So what if Eileen, actually she uses her own Twitter. In fact, everybody here uses their own Twitter handle. But what if Eileen was...
Which is what you should do, yeah.
Which you should do. And then that eliminates this issue. But what if Eileen... Well, maybe not. But what if Eileen been tweeting all this time as Twit Eileen, and then she left? I'm not going to sue her saying, give me your followers.
Well, what if she changed TriCaster?
We don't own TriCaster. No, we don't own that. Some
Are you
other,
kidding me? That
no,
count?
that's some
No.
guy or gal. I don't know who it is. It's
That's so great.
Oh, I thought it was you guys doing
No,
it.
no.
Oh no, we're
not
Twit
that,
Live.
We're not that organized.
We barely do the
Tricast.
Twit Live.
We don't know what the hell we're
correctly.
doing. We need a social media strategy.
We do.
There's got to be a line between company Twitter accounts and social media accounts and person ones. You know what?
But that needs to be stated up front.
I agree. I agree. I mean, it gets tough when you're a writer and you're mostly associated for your work at a particular title, and you say, "Hey, this is my association." It gives you credibility.
Right.
But, you know, the fact is that Twitter gives you the right to change. You know, if it's your password that you set up, an account that you established, and your employer has no problem with calling yourself Phone Dog Noah while you're working for them, you have the power to change that username. You're in control of that
Right.
account.
That's what he did.
And this is something that really should be written into contracts. In terms of, you know,
The problem was he was the only guy working on the site at the time. In fact, he wasn't even a staffer. He was freelance. So they just didn't have a policy because it was brand new, I guess.
Yeah, those are his relationships.
They're his relationships. I don't care if it was Phone Dog Noah. It's his relationships.
And the truth is that if people were listening to him because he wrote about Phone Dog and he stops writing about Phone Dog,
That's
they'll
different.
unfollow him.
Yeah, exactly. Rupert Murdoch has a Twitter account, and you know we're no fan of Rupert's, but I am a fan of his Twitter account because it's him. Boy, is it him.
It's him. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, is it him? In fact, one of his early tweets got him in trouble with his wife. He said,
no, that's not true.
Well, not with his wife, but he said,
a fake account.
Oh, it wasn't he. It wasn't him who said Brits take too many holidays and don't work hard enough.
He said that. He said that and killed it. But the reports about it being his wife who made it happen came from the fake account for his wife.
That wasn't a real account. Okay.
Wasn't a real account.
So he did delete.
So Twitter verified the Wendy Dang account.
Yeah, this is a verified account. And he's tweeting about books that he likes. He only apparently sees Fox movies, but he likes them. He likes the show that replaced Glenn Beck better than Glenn Beck. I thought that was interesting. He said he basically said he doesn't like Glenn Beck in this. Much more fun than Glenn Beck.
They got rid of Glenn Beck, and so the New York Times did. Brian Stelter did an analysis of this. The Washington Post, Howard Kurtz rather, was going after this. I said, "Well, isn't that obvious? He's going to support what show is on now."
Well, that's true. But it's interesting. I think he's very forthright in this. Don't you think?
He likes Santorum.
He likes Santorum, but he likes Ron Paul.
Santorum would never get on O'Reilly after. Tell me if this is a coincidence. After Murdoch posted his endorsement of Santorum, someone else on Twitter told me that Santorum is now scheduled on O'Reilly.
Oh yeah. Well, don't you think if you worked at Fox News, you'd be parsing this Twitter feed pretty damn close?
Yep.
What does Rupert want?
Well, Rupert always said that he owned the New York Post and lost more than $25 million a year on it because he wanted, and these are his words, a bully pulpit.
Right.
Right? And that's certainly Fox News, too.
Right.
I think what's fascinating to me is he is discovering the bully pulpit of the people.
It looks like he's gone through this and fixed the typos. Is that possible?
Really? Bob, that's why he took it over. Because, Leo, if you look at who he's following, it's all just Fox corporate stuff. And they got rid of the fake Larry Page account.
So somebody said, Rupert, we've got to take this in hand. Oh, that's sad. Because, yeah, it's all fixed. There were a lot of typos. There were a lot of
spaces.
weird capitalizations. It's all been fixed. Oh. Rupert, you were so real. Now it's just going to be sanitized.
Wish I could fix my typos.
Yeah, that's something that obviously Jack Dorsey helped him with. Because you can't edit a tweet, but Rupert can.
Ooh, that's right, Leo.
Rupert can. Ooh. I'm pretty sure that these were mispunctuated and miscapitalized.
No, you're right, they were. Emily Bell, ex-Guardian now at Columbia, tweeted yesterday wondering, does these conversations between Jack and Rupert mean that Rupert might invest in Twitter? And then she asked the thought experiment here. What do journalists think if Murdoch owned a big hunk of Twitter?
He said at the Paul Allen conference that he didn't think you should invest in Twitter because it had no business model. But that means he's been looking at it, right? That means he's been thinking about it.
I got to sit.
It's like the Eye of Mordor.
Oh, it is.
The baleful eye of Mordor has turned.
I was brought out. They paid to bring me out to moderate a panel between Nick Denton, sorry I mentioned the name, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
It was fascinating. Absolutely was fascinating with Murdoch there. This was right before he bought the Wall Street Journal. I wish I'd taken a picture of him reading the journal with his craggy brow beforehand. And now where I was going to a point there. What the hell was it? It wasn't talking about me. It was some actual point. Oh, age is horrible, people. Don't ever get old. Gina, don't get old.
Let's take a break, and we're going to, because we got to get going, because TNT is here, and we wanted to quickly do our number and our tool and our tip. Before we do that, just a brief mention. Netflix. Get Netflix. Oh, God, I forgot. I've got my mom's birthday. I forgot. I've got to get her. It was yesterday. Happy birthday, Mom. You're getting Netflix. She said, now, I've been thinking, because I got her this, first I got her the 3-disc subscription. Then last year she said, I don't use the discs, get the streaming. And then I just talked to her last week. She said, well, I've been thinking I'd like 1 disc. So I'm going to get her the 1 disc. It's a great gift. Now, here's the deal. You're already a Netflix subscriber. I know that. If you're not, we have a free deal, 30 days free of Netflix streaming at netflix.com/twit. If you are, would you tell a friend? Just let them know. Netflix.com/twit, 30-day trial. Great stuff. I use it all the time. And it's a good way to kill a battery on a smartphone if you're trying to decharge the battery. I just put Netflix on and let the movie run. So another good use for it. Even that alone would be worth $8 a month. Netflix.com/twit. Gina's tip of the week.
New Year's digital life cleanup tip, mypermissions.org. It's a really simple site. All it does is it sends you links to all the different apps that you authorize on other websites. So, you know, we're all pretty tech-savvy early adopters here. You sign in, you connect with Facebook here, you sign in with Twitter here, you grant access to your Flickr photos, your Instagram photos here. And, you know, we try out apps and then we don't use them anymore. This site, take 2 minutes, you could go through and just do a quick audit. What apps have access to my profiles on these various other sites, and which ones do I don't need anymore? Which ones can I revoke? And it just tightens up your security.
Look at all these. This is Twitter.
That's amazing, Leo.
You don't use half
I don't even know what these things are.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not using stuff, and even as a developer, I have so many like test 1, test 7 authorization accounts. So just go through, and it's
just links, really. It's nothing.
Just links.
Nothing
this
fancy.
Is just like glorified bookmarks. You don't have to auth your account to this permission site to use it. It's just links to the console, which lets you know which apps you've authorized on your different sites.
This guy Avi Charkham made this site. It took him 3 seconds. It's basically links to the permissions page for each of these 8 websites. That's it.
Yeah. But you'll be shocked at how many things you've authorized and you don't.
It's just brilliant, though. I mean, I could have designed this. This site took up no time.
Oh, I know. It's great. It's great. It's one of those things, you know, change your passwords, back up your data.
Yeah,
and
this
then,
is good. I like this.
Access the stuff you don't need anymore.
Very nice.
Good January cleanup.
Mypermissions.org. And Avi, you get the Philip Kaplan Award for cleverest idea that took the least amount of time.
Or by doing less. Oh,
he gets a putty.
He does.
Yes. We're going to make that up. That's a good one, a putty award.
That's a good one. I like that. I like that. You know what? You should have a putty hackathon.
It's good, yeah. I remember Philip Kaplan, he did ftcompany.com. And I remember him saying, you know, it's simple. I just create sites that I don't have to, that somebody else does all the content, and I sit back and collect the money.
Yeah. Yeah, and he'll just you know, hack something up and just for the fun of it, throw it out there, and he has enough audience that people will try it, and if it sticks to the wall, it sticks.
Yep. Mypermissions.org. Your number of the week, my friend.
Number of the week is 1.5 billion.
Wow.
A Piper Jaffray analyst argues that based on the deal that Google did for Firefox, to stay in Firefox's search, that they then use that to calculate the value of Chrome.
Wow.
And says that if Firefox is worth $300 million in annual revenue, because they did a deal with Firefox, with Mozilla, then since they're roughly equivalent now, that Chrome at a 5 times multiple would be a $1.5 billion property. Which goes back to a little bit of our earlier discussion about the sleazy ads and concern about I think concern, this is just me bringing this up, about antitrust arguments. That you move from search to arguing that, you know, what got Microsoft in trouble, i.e., could Chrome get Google in trouble?
Interesting.
So Google's going to be careful if it's a $1.5 billion property. So anyway.
My tool of the week is Google's new elections page, just in time for 2012. It's going to be an interesting one, google.com/elections. By the way, not just U.S., there's an Egyptian edition as well. I know that's the two. I don't know why, but I guess when there's elections elsewhere, they'll add more pages for those places. This is fantastic.
And Leo, do me a favor. Click on the Google Plus link to the right. This is new. This is Google putting up a news identity for a story that you can put in a circle. So this is where I just saw Gingras, and I said, is this new? Is this as big as I think it is? Because I think this is them starting to create identities around topics and stories.
So presumably they're hiring an editorial staff because this is all under one moniker, Google Politics and
No,
Elections.
I don't know that they're doing that. I think what they're doing is adding content and discussion and graphics and data together for some topics, and you can now follow those topics.
But somebody's doing this, right? I mean, who's doing this? You think it's algorithmic?
But I think that is. I think the page you showed before had to be designed, but I think this page is fed, I'm sure, automatically.
Oh, interesting.
And so what becomes interesting is then Google becomes, in my reading here, you want to follow a story, right? Think about following this instead of following a news article or Wikipedia.
Right. Well, Wikipedia turned out, kind of spontaneously to be a great place to follow current events.
Precisely.
So they're going to capitalize on that. I'm creating a new circle.
There in news.
I'm creating a new circle called Stories, and this is the first one in there.
Yep. What I wonder is, will they release this as an API so that journalists could come along and create these things too, and may the best ones win?
I'd love to see that.
I mean, it seems like it's just a page, right, or a business. Yeah.
But how is it created? So Jeff's assertion is it's automatic, not
it's automatically feeding, right? So we'd have to accept an RSS feed or some sort of not actually edited. Yeah. Well, I mean, they have it. The API is read only, and has been for quite some time because they don't want people just sort of
doing this
auto tweeting or auto Facebook, automatically sending their.
You know what? There's somebody this is curated. Look at this. There's text. Here's your viral Iowa video of the day, and then there's a video of it. Now this is curated.
Okay.
Somebody's right.
Well, then that's an issue too. Then that's new too. If Google is hiring editors.
Wow.
That's a big wow.
that would be big news if they're
Hangout live in Iowa. They're doing Hangouts.
Oh, I didn't look at it long enough.
Google Politics and Elections hung out. So I want to go to the Hangout and see who's there.
Yeah.
They're doing it with Good Morning America. They did a Hangout. That's interesting.
Oy.
And today's search done. This is editorial.
Wow.
This is editorial. It doesn't have a byline, but it is.
Welcome to the Google Politics and Elections page, the source for news and notes from our Politics and Elections team.
There you go.
This is from the About page.
They have editorial.
Impartial data and digital trends surrounding the political process.
That's a newspaper. How is that different in any way than a newspaper?
Boy, I missed that story. I looked at it for 2 seconds and then ran out to the hall as Richard was going for his flight and asked him, "Is this new?" "Yeah, it's very new." A big deal. He said, "Yeah." And then I didn't think well enough to ask the question. You're right, Leo.
It says we are nonpartisan and don't support or endorse any political. This is news. And
that's channel conflict.
And I bet you it gets great search results. Search for elections.
YouTube.com/politics. Same thing. YouTube Politics channel.
Oh, wow. Well, see, this is a mistake. This is why I said they should divest YouTube. They really should not be doing this kind of stuff because it really muddies the waters. You call it channel conflict. It's just confusing.
Yeah.
We do this show every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. That would be 2100 UTC on twit.tv. Next week, we're doing it at a different time because of CES. We're going to do it on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's 1900 UTC. So tune in for the live show. But, you don't have to watch live because you can always download it from twit.tv or iTunes or anywhere podcasts are. There's audio and video available almost immediately after the show ends on Wednesday. Jeff Jarvis is at buzzmachine.com. His book is Public Parts, must read for those of you who live or are curious what it's like to live in public. He also is a professor of journalism at CUNY. See you next week.
See you next week, Leo.
Gina Trapani is at smarterware.org and is, now I guess I can't say where you're going to be next week, but she won't be with us.
We know she'll be avoiding bed
I can't say where I'm going to be.
somewhere.
I want everyone to know that the only thing that would make me miss Twig is a meeting at the White House. I will be at the White House next week.
Oh, you can say that? Oh, good.
Yeah, I can say that.
That is
I'm
the
helping out
coolest,
with some
coolest,
stuff.
coolest thing. Gina, I got to ask you.
Yes.
Wardrobe choices.
Yeah.
What are you thinking here?
I'm breaking out my one suit that I wear to meetings in DC. I literally have my meeting in DC suit. I may have to get another one if this keeps happening.
Wow.
No, I'm totally gonna be dressed up, and I'm sure my feet will hurt because I never wear those shoes. So yeah, I'm sorry to miss Twig next week. I'm gonna be at the White House working on something that I'll be able to talk about soon. I hope.
Okay. We're very thrilled for you. That's exciting.
It is. I'm very excited.
So follow her on smarterware.org. She'll probably write about it sooner than we get her back on Twig. We'll miss you next week, but we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and have a great time at CES.
Thank you.
Let's see a good Google tablet.
Maybe they might surprise. Remember, Eric Schmidt said we're doing a tablet. He said that.
Can I play you guys out with a Google commercial?
You can, but before we do, just say thank you for being here. We'll see you next week on This Week in Google. TNT's coming up next. Right after TNT Triangulation, our guest will be
Anil Dash.
the great Anil Dash. Oh, that'll be fun. The proto-blogger, Anil Dash. But we leave you now with this commercial. For what?
Well, you guys were talking about what commercial?
The French commercial?
No, this is the Muppets.
There's a Muppet commercial for Google?
And Google Hangouts.
Watch. I don't think any normal person seeing that commercial would have a clue what that was all about.
It was so fun, though.
It's great. I love it, especially if you love Muppets, which I don't. But if you loved Muppets, you would love that. What? They're puppets. I'm sorry.
Googlers love Muppets. That's the other story.
You like puppets.
Googlers love Muppets, and it fits that generation that's apparently decided they don't ever want to grow up. But I got to say, a normal person seeing that ad is not going to know what the hell to do with it. They go, well, I like the Muppets. What is it, a music video?
Yeah.
Where do I go to do what? To see
Do
Muppets?
I have to sing on this thing? Do I have
Is
to
it
dance?
YouTube? Is it a YouTube ad? What is that? I search on Google for Muppets? There's no clue as to what that is or how to use it or anything.
It's the party
By the
feeling.
way, if you want a bookend to it, last night on Jon Stewart, he had Elmo redone as Gitmo with a black beard.
I don't understand. I don't understand. It's just people don't grow up. It's the Peter Panification of media.
Yes.
Are you guys doing Anil
or
on
technology
Triangulation today?
Yes.
Oh, what time?
I know he's a good friend of yours. In fact, he works at Expert Labs, right?
Yeah, he's my boss.
He's your boss.
Yeah,
I should have
yeah,
said that. Gina's boss will be on Triangulation. I forgot about that.
Hopefully he won't say anything too bad about me.
No, nobody says anything bad about it.